Welcome back, our esteemed viewer. We'll continue our questions to David. Now, David, in our previous videos, you mentioned about stakeholders. Who are they in regards to risk management?
In risk management, you understand or you know that it has those people it can affect. Or there could even people who are not affected, but they could have an interest. Okay. Any person or an organization that has direct interest into the subject organization, or has no direct interest but can exert some significant influence, that becomes now a stakeholder. Stakeholders could be creditors, could be debtors, could be employees, could be suppliers, could be the board. You know, all those kind of people will have an interest to the organization, and they can exert power, they can have influence and all that. But on the other side, we can have people who are even outside the organization and can exert pressure. Like, for example, the netizens out there. Yes. They can be able to bring down an organization, maybe out of reputation, something happening in the social media. So those are now the stakeholders. I like the analysis done by David Hilson and Peter Simon in their book called a practical project risk management. They have really analyzed stakeholders and how they can affect an organization. And they're saying stakeholders can influence or exert pressure to an organization depending on whether they have a good attitude to that organization, or they have power to that organization, or they have an interest to that organization. For example, they say this they will call the savior. The savior has a good attitude to the organization, has power, can exert power, and also have an interest in the organization. That is somebody who should be kept by the organization as a stakeholder because he's possessing abilities to influence. Yeah, that stakeholder should be included in the risk management process. They also talked about a friend, and they said a friend will have a good attitude, but have no power. Yes. Yeah, but they have an interest. You see, these people, whereby you're saying that this stakeholder, we can use them. Not necessarily, but because they have a good attitude and they have interest, although they have no power, then we can be able to use them in one way or another. And also we have what they were calling, David and Peter were calling, sleeping giant. Okay. And the sleeping giant, they were saying they have a good attitude and they have power, but they have no interest. Okay. Right? They're out there and they have a good attitude, they have power, but they have no interest. You know, this kind of people is to need to awaken them and bring them to have an interest into the organization, so that they change from the sleeping giant into the savior up there. Okay. All right? Yes. And also they talked about acquaintance. And they say the acquaintance has a good attitude, has no power, has no interest. You know, that person is just a good right touch. Yes. It's just there. You know, is a good intended person, have no power, have no interest. They are just there. They say, have a good attitude towards this kind of an organization. And also they talked about the saboteur. You know, a saboteur is somebody who has a bad attitude, have power, and have interest. You know, that's a dangerous person. Yes, because you see the attitude is not right, but they have power and they have interest. What can be done here is to ensure maybe their attitude changes and their attitude becomes beneficial to the organization. And also they talked about the irritant. Yeah, irritant. And this person has a bad attitude, has no power, but has an interest. You know, it could be like the netizens out there. Yes. You know, they just have an interest, but they have no power, and they have no attitude towards that organization, but they can cause chaos and they can bring risks to the organization. Yes. They are called the irritant. And then they also talked about the time bomb. Wow. And they said the time bomb will have a negative attitude. They will have power, but they have no interest. you know, that person just wants something to trigger, and they're able to cause issues because they have the power to do that. And also they talked about the tripwire. And the tripwire, I think, is the worst, because this stakeholder has a bad attitude, actually has no power, but have no interest. You know, they have negative attitude to everything that is being done to that organization, and they should be avoided. So when David Hilson and Peter Simon in their book talk about this stakeholder analysis, they are trying to show us the importance of ensuring that every person that objective could affect in one way or another, whether directly or indirectly, we should manage. And it is called stakeholders management. It is very important in risk management. You can imagine whereby the risk manager is trying to manage risks without the board support, because maybe the board has no interest, yet they have power. That risk management initiative will go nowhere. So we are, as a stakeholder, as the board is a stakeholder within that organization, then we need to manage their attitude, for example, towards risks, and be able to bring them to be together as we manage risks, or even maybe the social media out there. We cannot just sit and ignore them and say because they are not associated with the organization, they are just out there, we just ignore. We need to analyze how are people out there. Remember, the netizens can damage an organization's reputation within hours.
Yes.
You can imagine, for example, a rumor goes that Bank X has gone bankrupt. It's just a rumor. And then the netizens have started picking that information and distributing it. There would be panic withdrawal. People will rush to the bank to try and withdraw their money out there so that it doesn't corrupt with their resources. You know, we would have not imagined that people out there who have no power within the organization, or even we had assumed the attitude is good to the organization, has just brought the organization down. Maybe because of an employee who was sacked because of fraud, has gone and created that, and then it has come to the social media and has destroyed a certain financial institution. So stakeholders in risk management, the analysis is critical, and it's something that we cannot be able to ignore.
Okay. Thank you so much, David, for that interesting conversation. I hope our esteemed viewers, you've learned something today. For more of this content, subscribe, like, share, and comment. See you on the next one.